Hello and welcome to National Focus. I'm your presenter Mervin. Thank you for joining us. Coming up, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit calls for a national approach in minimizing damage caused by natural disasters. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Helen Royer, calls on nationals to adopt proper health practices, and the Honorable Trade Minister Dr. Colin McIntyre addresses concerns regarding fuel prices. Stay tuned for details of these and other stories after the break.
A lot of bathtubs are blamed for bruises. Some staircases are accused of being responsible for broken bones. Doors are occasionally viewed suspiciously as causing lesions. A high percentage of tables are accused of producing bleeding or trauma. Violence against women is a crime, and it's everyone's responsibility. It's inexcusable. If you're a victim or witness of physical or psychological violence or abuse, seek help and denounce the perpetrator.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. The Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has called for a collective effort by all nationals to ensure that all communities are in a state of readiness in the event of a disaster. The Dominica leader made the call last Friday following an emergency meeting of the National Emergency Planning Organization ahead of Tropical Storm Bertha, which passed to the south of the island late Friday evening.
What I would like to see happen more by not only the NEPO, but by every citizen, because let's understand, each one of us in this country has an equal responsibility to help in preparing ourselves for any disaster. So we have an individual responsibility. Do we have drains at the back of our private homes which needs clearing? Are there trees which we need to cut down, which are posing a hazard to our homes and to our properties? Are the drains in front of our homes in the villages or the communities, are they blocked, and we allow them to continue blocked and watch them wash away the surface of the roads? So there are things that we can do as individuals, and those persons who are in a vulnerable state, it is incumbent upon us as neighbors to assist in ensuring that these people are properly cared for before, during and after the storm.
Meantime, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Helen Royer, says it is critical that nationals adopt proper health practices, especially during times of disaster.
We know too, in disasters like hurricane, we have a lot of rain and persons go about using water indiscriminately. I would want to advise the public to ensure that the water that is collected is clean, that you boil your water. Most of you, and even in the district, you can get a leaflet as to how to chlorinate to ensure that you have clean water using natural forms. So you can call your district nurses for the formula to ensure that your water that you're taking is clean. And simple little things like washing of hands, which can be very, very important in time of disaster, considering the time that you move to the special areas, you have a lot of overcrowding. Sometimes people do not use the toilet facilities and stuff like that, and then we can end up with more problems than just a disaster. So I want to encourage us on proper health practices.
Roy is also very concerned about the use of the accident and emergency department at the Princess Margaret Hospital ahead of disasters.
Usually people get very frightened when they hear that we are having an impending storm, and some persons just drop their family and elderly people at the hospital. We are full to capacity, and unless somebody is a real emergency, they should not report to the accident and emergency department. And that is because we have to ensure that when we have real emergencies, we are not implicated in any way by having a crowd of persons who do not really need to be taken care of at the accident and emergency. So I encourage you to deal with your district nurses at district level, and we are ensuring that we have coverage with our nurses on the district, at the hospital, and ensuring that we have at least a district medical officer in the area. So some areas where you now have 2 medical officers, you might end up having one because we have to ask the person to report to another area. So we are asking your support in this effort to ensure that at the end we are not compromised with other health conditions or public health threats.
In more news, Honorable Minister for Trade, Dr. Colin McIntyre, says government continues to take all necessary actions to minimize fuel costs to nationals. In his address to Parliament last week, Dr. McIntyre compared Dominica's fuel costs to that of other countries in the region.
In Dominica, gas might be about what? This is just $15.62. In Grenada, it's $16.23, that's per gallon. In Montserrat, it's $16.87. In St. Kitts and Nevis, it's $16.79. In St. Lucia, it's $15.85. Could be absorbing a little bit of something there, which is dangerous. We have to be careful with that in terms of buoyancy and keeping an economy afloat. St. Vincent and Grenadines, maybe doing a little something there, $15.04. And in Barbados, it's $18.40. Dominica, we're doing quite well. We have used the formula system. We have taken up the customs service charge, and we are passing on the rest. Now we have to understand that we have roads to fix, we have hospitals to fix and to build, and we have to take care of business for people in Dominica. So we have to keep our fiscal health alive. Fiscal health is something that this government prides itself on. So whereas we have taken up the customs service charge and we have done well, and we have taken up the total customs service charge and the excise on cooking gas already completely, this is why we're providing that ease for people. So when people hear of these prices, I want you to understand that Dominica is not the worst at all. As a matter of fact, we are ranking among the top in terms of the prices, and the formula system has been working for us, and we'll continue to use it.
The Honourable Parliamentary Representative for the Petit Savan constituency, Dr. Kenneth Darrow, in his address to Parliament last month, delved into many positive developments within his area. Honourable Dr. Darrow noted that the people of Bagatelle have benefited greatly from the government-enacted National Employment Programme.
Like other constituencies, the Petit Savan constituency has also benefited tremendously under our National Employment Programme. We are about to launch a sewing program in the Bagatelle community where we purchased 5 industrial sewing machines, and the community center is about to be retrofitted to accommodate these machines. And of course, we've already identified a number of young people who have come forward, young and not so young, to start this sewing program. We're going to take on board the services of a well-known seamstress from the Petit Savan community who have already agreed to come on board to assist us in that program. So the resource center is also going to be converted into this, and also we hope of setting up an internet cafe, of course, for the Ministry of Information Technology, a computer cafe right there at the Bagatelle Resource Center.
The minister further commended the work of the Honourable Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Roosevelt Skerrit, for making it possible for residents to become official landowners.
We heard the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance speak about the allocation of lands at 25 cents a square foot, Mr. Speaker. Lands that the people have been occupying for decades, but couldn't call their own. And along came the government, purchased these lands, and have allocated to about 20 or so who are well on their way to owning a piece of the nature isle of Dominica. A number of them have already paid for these lands and are already beginning the construction.
The MP also elaborated on plans for a marine facility within the village of Stowe with the aid of the Japanese government.
In the Stowe area, I mentioned earlier briefly advanced discussions with the Japanese on a multi-purpose marine facility. And I call it a multi-purpose marine facility and not a fisheries complex, because the idea that we have is to construct a facility that's not going to encompass the fisheries sector, but also other related marine uses of the marine resource. And we're talking about for recreation. This area I've been told is a very beautiful dive site. In fact, a number of the the clients from the hotels in the southeast of the country, Jungle Bay, Rosalie Bay, they come here to do some kayaking and diving, snorkeling, etc. So we're hoping that we can change the concept and the idea that fisheries and other uses of marine resources cannot coexist. Already designed, preliminary designs or visual concept of what we want the area to look like has been submitted together with a concept paper to the Japanese. And I see the permanent secretary here with me. He will tell you that for the past 2 years we've been in really deep discussions with the Japanese government. And we are very confident, we are very optimistic that this project will soon receive the final nod of approval from the authorities in Tokyo. And as I said, transform not just the physical landscape, but also the economic landscape of that part of the country. Because with the advent of this proposed project, we can envision the creation of many opportunities, job opportunities, not just for fishermen, but other users of the facility. Where we could be renting out stalls and stores, renting diving equipment, etc.
According to the MP, the next Basic Needs Trust Fund project will aid in the upgrading of the community center, among other things.
On the BNTF 7, which is the next Basic Needs Trust Funds project, Minister of Social Services, we have plans for upgrade of the community center into a state-of-the-art social center and other activities. I've also seen the formation of a farmers group, and we're also looking for land available into the setting up of a piggery. A number of young people have expressed their interest in coming together, set up a farmers group and requiring assistance to set up a piggery. Of course, with the advent of the abattoir, Mr. Minister of Agriculture, we're hoping that they can also provide the raw material to this abattoir. Fisheries group, and that's again with the approval of this budget, hoping to make a boat and engine available to this very group of young people, those of them who want to go into fishing. As I said, the issues of housing, the street lights, and employment continue, and yesterday the Parliament will seek ways and means to address these issues to the best of my ability.
In other news, Dominican nationals are being called upon to take ownership of the Waitikobuli National Trail. That call came from Assistant Forestry Officer Ronald Charles during the launch of the second annual National Trail Day on Thursday, July 31st.
We need Dominicans, the local resident population, to take ownership of the trail, to see the trail as as being theirs. It is Dominican, to see opportunities in the trail. In fact, there are many opportunities, livelihood opportunities to be had from taking advantage of the existence of the trail.
In his address, Charles called for a change in attitude by locals towards the maintenance of the trail.
A number of the issues we see arising around the trail, maintenance issues, it can be attributed to the local population. We would like a change of attitude. We would like the Dominican public, those who happily use the trail, those who are interested in using the trail, to join with us, partner with us, to ensure that the trail remains in perpetuity for a long time rather, and that we can benefit, all of us can benefit from the trail.
Roslyn Paul, Trails Operations Manager, noted that as the only long-distance trail in Dominica, the Waitikobuli National Trail is a gem for the island.
A number of local groups, organizations or communities are integrating the trail into their program. For example, Mr. Charles there and his committee ensured that a hike on the Waitikobuli National Trail, actually 2 hikes on the Waitikobuli National Trail, has been integrated in the Lubia Reunion. We see hiking on the trail is also integrated in the Granbury Union. For a number of years, every year there's an emancipation hike as part of emancipation celebration. The Penville community for the 3rd year, as leading up to their feast, village feast, they have a hike, either on segment 12 or 13, which is in vicinity of their communities or traverses their community. And that will happen on August Monday. And we also have had the 3rd hike with the clergy or hike with your priest. And this is going to take place again on August Monday. So, and there's been integration of the trail.
Paul also described the trail as a vehicle for increased tourist arrivals.
We must continue the process to get Dominicans to appreciate that we have a product that is a vehicle that allows, or a vehicle that allows increased visitors to come to Dominica. Actually, this tourist season, from November to March, there were 263 overstay visitors coming to hike the trail. And that translates to increased expenditure because visitors who come to hike the trail obviously are stayover tourists.
In other news, Honorable Minister for Social Services, Community Development and Gender Affairs Gloria Shillingford has reported that village councils have been strengthened under her leadership. Honorable Shillingford was addressing the House of Parliament.
That is why we continue to hold workshops to train our local government. We are also ably supported with DALCA, that's the Association for Local Community Authorities. And Mr. Speaker, I just want to also recognize the need for the communities to be viable, to bring about viable economic activities. And one such activity, we call it the local economic development, Mr. Speaker. And this is being done right now in Woodford Hill, my own constituency, and also in Soufriere, Scott's Head, and Gallio. Even right now, there is some sort of enterprise development they were able to muster to the tune of US $90,000.
The community of Woodford Hill was the first to pilot this program, thanks to the advocacy of Honorable Shillingford, who is also the community's parliamentary representative. The government has exceeded its goals for its 10-year sectoral plan as it relates to the rehabilitation of the country's main roads. The Honorable Minister for Public Works, Reuben Blackmore, reported to the House of Parliament last Tuesday that over 60% of the country's main roads have been rehabilitated.
We had said by 2015, Mr. Speaker, 60% of our main road would have been in excellent condition. Our main roads, let's get it straight. As I speak with you, Mr. Speaker, we are at 63. It means, therefore, we have tremendous work to be done. And you go to the various communities in the country, you heard the Minister of Education, spoke about the need to see improvement in his road network in his constituency. And that is so for a number of areas in St. Joseph constituency and throughout the country. But the important thing is that, Mr. Speaker, that we have been able to develop a plan. And we are saying that if we are to follow a particular method, by 2020, or even before that, all of our main roads will be in excellent condition. And we have set a threshold of 95 to 100% in perfect condition.
According to the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit in his 2014-2015 budget presentation, the third edition of the Growth and Social Protection Strategy identifies physical infrastructure as a binding constraint to development. In this regard, government has invested heavily in the improvement of the country's roads. Honorable Blackmore reported that a total of $563,933,484 have been spent within a 10-year period to facilitate such projects.
Over the 10-year period of time I referenced just now, Mr. Speaker, on roads, bridges, and city fences, we as a country spent $376,751, Mr. Speaker. For the improvement of our airport, $160 million. 100% of it coming from grant funding, with some by way of counterpart funding. For seaport repairs and improvement works, some money was spent there also. Over $4 million we have spent from a local fund for the period of time I'm referencing. We have done much more by now. For geothermal, we have spent, Mr. Speaker, $54 million thus far.
The minister's breakdown summed $12.8 million in repair works for damage caused by Tropical Storm Ophelia. Honorable Blackmore informed that plans are ongoing for the undertaking of more roadwork projects.
We have been able, under the B envelope, Mr. Speaker, from the European Union, to receive a grant to the tune of $23 million to address that section of road, that is to say, from Wajab going back into Delis. And specific interventions are going to be undertaken, Mr. Speaker, in the Odelis area, and also the construction of a new bridge at White River, and some of the crossings, of course, we heard from the Member for Parliament of the area, Honorable Peter Saint-Jean, political crossing, etc., etc. In the interim, we are perfectly aware, Mr. Speaker, of the very dangerous situation that the people of Delis and La Plaine have to live with, because the White River Bridge is not stable. As I speak, we have been through the bidding process, and a contractor has been recommended to construct a bypass.
And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, ça fait ICT, ça mène développement pour un pays. Parole ça là, sorti du directeur Telecoms, M. Bennett Thomas, silo M. Thomas, en policy nationale pour gouverner, supposé développer.
Policy a regardé toute bagaille en ICT, comment ICT ça a aidé Dominique développer développe monde. So our national policy ça nous n'est pas que broadband policy. Broadband policy c'est ou pour bagaille comme fiber, on mettait toute place Dominique, so that monde ça stay à Casio et ça fait un examen à UI, ça va être à l'école, il y a un bagage si UI, il y a un examen à Open Campus, ou pas nous pour quitter Marigot et descendre, rester en Roosevelt, vivre encore, et nous pour faire un examen, ou garder une élection, ou ça rester à Portsmouth, go sur le computer, et puis login dans le système là, bagaille comme ça. Même bagaille pour health. Une clinique tout passé, un hôpital, bagaille comme ça, l'hôpital. Mon pas pour sortir d'odeur, sortir tatan, et vous dormir dans une clinique à l'air, venir en Goodwill pour ça. Ou ça rester à la clinique ou en l'air, garder, non, ça rester à l'air. Sur le computer, garder mon en réseau, docteur réseau, garder pour bagaille, you can wear en Dodan, ou Tatan, ou Portsmouth, et vous dites, oh, ok, nous ça, ok, t'allez, check sur pharmacie online, garder aussi une tablette, bagaille, voyez, bagaille, so toutes ces bagailles, ça, in other words, ICT, ça fait un whole bagaille plus efficient.
Alors, nouvelle, management Solid Waste Dominica exporté programme exportation via batterie. Parole ça là, sorti officier relations publiques pour compagnie cela, M. Jeno Jacob.
Nous avons exporté via batterie, pas seulement via batterie, nous avons aussi fait glace, glace brun, vert et puis aussi blanc, bouteille cassée. Ces batteries sont importantes parce que la batterie, ça la cause plomb en batterie à LED, ça la cause un birth defect. Là, où venir aux enfants, check pas, ou nous un mot en cadavre parce que ou tapé contaminé par ça. Aussi cancer, et ça la cause un cancer en monde. Pour ça, pour nous, il faut vraiment important pour nous tirer ces batteries sur la route côté garage, la monde batterie. Et puis, où ça mène les batteries à landfill là, sur aussi un programme là, nous avons fait un Dominique, qui a massé batterie, nous avons payé $5 pour une batterie. Et puis nous avons mis les batteries en container, nous avons fait nous préparer bien, packager bien, et puis mettre en container et puis envoyer à l'autre pays. C'est vraiment important pour nous parce que comme on dit, batterie et puis plomb, LED qui est en batterie, ça contamine les gens. Et puis nous ne pouvons pas les gens venir malades et puis différentes maladies. Ça qu'on a présent nous avons chef médical, chef docteur David Jones dans la radio et puis télévision. Qui nous bien concernés dans le gouvernement pour voir les gens qui ont des avec cancer à présent. Comme ça, nous les fait 5 qui en solid waste qui nous fait moins effet là. Nous certains qui ne pas exposés Voilà parce que j'ai exposé avec batterie puis planqué batterie.
En la nouvelle, le gouvernement Dominique a fait report qui chimie pays en bonnes conditions. Si le ministre des Public Works, Honorable Ribbon Blackmore, a près 65% chimie pays là en bonnes conditions. Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit déjà fait parole que l'infrastructure pays là a tombé en bas Growth and Social Protection Strategy. Ministre Blackmore dit 65 millions de dollars dépensés à ce chimie en pays là. Gouvernement qui aussi dépensé d'autres l'argent à ce chimie en pays là. Finalement, management White Kubuli National Trail a créé à ce public là pour apprécier trois salaires. Parole salaire sorti en manager opération, mademoiselle Roselyne Paul.
Depuis trois cela, nous avons autant de monde qui compte marcher en fouet. So c'est mon salaire qui vient de toutes différentes places où on l'a terre pour qui vient marcher Dominique. So parce que nous avons White Kubuli National Trail, moun ka vini marcher Dominique. Et nous voyons ça nous voyons ça plus en plus. Ou la moun ka vini hors Australia, hors Germany, hors France et qui pour venir marcher Dominique. So nous ni quelque chose qui Dominique ni pour apprécier. Et avouer nous voyons première fois été ni International One Run à Dominique et nom là qui a organisé One Run dit c'est toi ce qui est plus challenging et déjà ouais et déjà qu'a promoté toi ça là pour y venir encore l'année prochaine. So nous avons quelque chose de pour avancer mais pour nous avancer tout Dominique ni pour apprécier.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelle en créole pour à présent. Non, moi, c'est McPherson Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, a few tips for driving during wet weather.
DOWASCO recognizes that clean water is vital to healthy living. Therefore, it spares no effort in providing a clean, safe, and reliable system. Help keep our rivers safe and clean. Do not cut trees along the river banks and do not pollute with garbage, human or animal feces, and chemicals. Think water, think life.
Keep a minimum of good 5 car lengths from the car in front of you. You never know what other driver's going to do or what could happen to you. If that feels too close or too far, a rule of thumb is 1 second of following distance with 10 miles per hour. That holds true especially in bad weather. Drive at or below the speed limit to the extent that you are comfortable with and you can see far enough in front of you to appropriately make driving decisions. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website at news.gov.dm. Like us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news production team here at the Government Information Service, I'm your presenter Mervin. Thanks for watching.